Trapped by a fungal threat and with few options left, who will the man without fear turn to? The answer may just surprise you, as will the old face from Hornhead's past gunning for him once again. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Daredevil issue number 23 and 24. As we catch up together then, shall we? So then, picking up from where my last video left off, Daredevil had managed to trace the mysterious origins of an infectious mushroom attacking the poor, destitute, and vulnerable within Hell's Kitchen like his friend Nyla Skins. Turns out the guy responsible for all of this is a massive mushroom-headed freak who, as we learn in this issue, goes by the name Lion's Mane. And no, you don't have to worry, I researched this one on my own. Yes, Lion's Mane is indeed a particular type of mushroom. In fact, the internet is absolutely gaga for it, making all sorts of absolutely baseless medical claims about it being some sort of miracle mushroom. None of that actually matters in the story, but it will actually kind of inform Lion Mane's origin once you realize what this dude's deal really is. Matt fights his hardest to bring this guy down, but unfortunately he's fighting a battle on two fronts. He breathed in a bunch of those killer spores in the previous issue, and they're really starting to slow him down. Worse still, Lion's Mane has one hell of a healing factor on him. Apparently he's able to drain the vitality of anyone infected with his mushrooms, including Daredevil himself. Matt gets himself all tied up, and Lion's Mane probably would have moved on in for the kill if Matt didn't get him talking. As this guy explains, he used to be someone important with a well-known name, but he abandoned it to become one with the mushrooms. At first it was just microdosing some psychedelics here and there, but before he knew it, he had truly transcended his physiology, and the opportunity building was just the beginning of a much bigger ploy to soon conquer the whole city. It's right around here Daredevil starts putting two and two together. Wait a minute, young guy, famous name in the property business. Oh my god, you're Justin Stromwin, aren't you? Nephew of the Stromwin twins, who had attempted to buy and destroy Hell's Kitchen all the way back in the Zdarsky era. Those guys were plenty evil, and Matt only beat them by cutting out his own eyes. Believe it or not, Justin, their nephew, is somehow even worse, mainly because he talks like a goddamn comment section. Daredevil actually gets in a pretty funny barb too, saying, geez, do you get many dates when your body is 90% mushrooms? And Lion's Mane responds exactly like how you think a guy like him would. Oh, I don't spend time with females, I'm studying the blade, I mean the mushroom, I'm no simp. And it's at that very moment as if summoned, Nyla ends up showing up looking to settle the score with this guy. This is also a pretty big moment for her too, as it's actually the first time she has been reunited with Daredevil in many years. Despite her having been reunited with Matt in the last issue, she actually doesn't know the two are one and the same. In fact, that's going to end up being very important in the very next issue. Nyla fights bravely, but unfortunately Lion's Mane is way too much. Before she goes down though, she does end up managing to coax Daredevil out of his mushroom prison, before eventually dropping one word that ends up confusing both the villain and the reader. You see, all she says is cousins, something that makes no sense at first, but eventually ends up coming into focus as Daredevil leaves and then quickly returns with an industrial-grade anti-fungal sprayer with more than enough juice to take away Lion's Mane's armor, and under that he basically is just some spoiled-ass rich kid. Justin vows that Daredevil and Nyla will never be able to make any of this stick, that he's got the best lawyers, he's got all the money in the world, and he only went after poor people, right? But again, showing just how absolutely weak and insignificant he is without his mushrooms, he then agrees to give the police evidence so long as Daredevil doesn't spray him again. Now, what was with that Cousins comment from earlier? Well, apparently Cousins Hardware Store is the last mom and pop owned hardware store in all of Hell's Kitchen. Ironically owned by a last man whose name is Brothers. Daredevil broke in there the night before and came back the next day to make amends for what he took. Surprisingly, Mr. Brothers is actually pretty cool about the whole thing. After all, Daredevil not only saved the neighborhood, but he saved his friends and neighbors, his customers. The sort of people who continued to shop at his store even when the Stromwins were trying to put him out of business. Daredevil even remarks that being a hero in the Marvel Universe, he's used to not really getting any love or credit for what he does, so it's really nice for once to actually see all the love he puts out in the world return to him for a change. Things are also seeming to get pretty serious between him and Nyla too. They had just been hanging out casually, but once she recovered from her spore, she actually asked Matt to stay the night with her. And that escalation will actually be pretty important as we lead into issue number 23, which surprisingly also has Mushroom Men on the cover, which leads me to believe that last story arc might actually have been rushed to its conclusion, because as we start with this issue, issue, a brand new story begins. Daredevil and Cole North are hanging out on a building, observing the police as they go through the wreckage of a gang war that happened the night before. Apparently, a local Irish gang was completely decimated by a brand new French crime syndicate going by the name Nouvelle Direction, which literally means new direction. These guys run their criminal empire like a business and even let AI algorithms decide where they're going to open up shop next. And because Wilson Fisk is still in hiding and the Heat are in tatters, it looks like Hell's Kitchen is once again up for grabs for would-be kingpins. Cole North has actually been working this investigation for a while. But, surprise, surprise, he hasn't actually been working it alone. Apparently, Daredevil isn't the only hero that he deals with. He's also been spending a lot of late nights teamed up with Elektra, which of course instantly makes Matt more than just a little jealous. First, Cole North becomes a better friend to Foggy than him, and now Cole is hanging out with Elektra. Cole maintains that this isn't high school and he doesn't want any drama and that everything is professional like it's always been, and if he has a problem with Elektra or Foggy, he should just, talk to them. But unfortunately, Matt is still Matt, and he's still very much stuck in his self-loathing. But hey, when you're a vigilante like him, you always have some mooks to take those feelings out on. Daredevil manages to track down Nouvelle as they are bringing guns into the city. He makes short work of them, but he can't shake the feeling that in the distance, someone is watching him. Someone with a very familiar silhouette if you're a Marvel Comics fan. Now, all of these new revelations happening in his life as a superhero, you better believe, are bleeding into his day-to-day life as Matt Murdock. Specifically, Nyla is starting to get concerned about how much he's sneaking out at night. Again, they're casual. But he's also like living in their house, and Nyla's one major rule is that if they're going to continue to play the adult equivalent of House, the very least he can do is be honest with her. Which is of course something that Daredevil and by extension all superheroes really end up struggling with, don't they? If nothing else, Nyla checks her task app, and in doing so ends up breaking this case wide open for Daredevil. It seems that the mysterious individual who was stalking him that night at the gun deal is none other than famed Marvel assassin Taskmaster. Which, honestly, him being here in a super villainous capacity is actually kind of interesting when we stop and consider over in the Cody Ziegler Deadpool book, he's basically been a good guy for a while now. Well, as good as a mercenary can get, basically an anti-villain. I will say this, the art team absolutely draws the ever-loving shit out of Taskmaster in this issue, and the fight he has with Daredevil is not only super cool, but actually super creative, too. You see, using his super hearing, Daredevil realizes that under the mask, Taskmaster is blinking a whole bunch. That's how dedicated he is to recreating the Man Without Fear's fighting style. And in order to counteract his super senses, Tony Masters has brought with him an absolute cornucopia of grenades, flash grenades, stink grenades. Grenades that go bang, basically everything to assault Daredevil's senses and leave him reeling. Daredevil's on the back foot too, but thankfully he ends up getting saved at the last second by the intervention of Elektra, and this is where again Tony Masters goes from supervillain mercenary to actually kind of affable anti-villain. He basically says this is bullshit that the French hired him to kill Guy Daredevil, not Lady Daredevil, and now they've got a completely different assassin horning in on his work. Is there no honor amongst thieves? Surely if he's not going to get paid twice, then he's just going to leave to try and renegotiate his contract, which turns out to be exactly what Elektra wanted. Taskmaster's going to be sending Nouvelle a bunch of angry messages, and in doing so leaving the sort of cyber footprint that she'll be able to follow all the way back to the big boss. Matt thanks Elektra for the help and even tries to strike up a conversation, but again, they're still not exactly on great terms right now. If nothing else, the night can't get any worse, can it? Well, about that. It seems that he has snuck out one too many times without explanation for Nyla's liking, and she kicks him out as issue 24 comes to a close. And so that was Daredevil's issue number 23 and number 24, everybody. And I gotta say, I did enjoy this two-pack of stories, even if I felt it was kinda let down by some odd pacing choices. If I had to chop it up to anything, it's probably the fact that this series is solicited to be ending sooner rather than later. Basically, Solid Dynamite gets one last arc to tell one last Kingpin story, and then that's the wrap on this book. On one hand, that's kind of a shame because I have been enjoying Solid Dynamite in this book's direction, but on the other hand, I can't say that he didn't get the opportunity to tell his big saga, what with the whole Seven Sins storyline. And maybe with the show being so successful again and Daredevil on a lot of people's minds, maybe it's time to move the book into another direction again. For what it's worth, I did appreciate this two-pack of stories. I did think it was some pretty classic Daredevil material. Again, Matt just trying to live his civilian life, and yet his superhero life keeps impeding and vice versa. versa. Nyla was clearly always the rebound girl, but it's actually nice that she has some agency in her life and sticks up for herself. And I have to wonder, after everything her and Matt and Daredevil have been through, will he actually feel the need to reveal his identity to her before everything is said and done? I don't know. This run has also pretty consistently struggled with inconsistent artwork, but I'm happy to say these last 2 issues, especially the stuff with Taskmaster, looked really damn good. Overall, I'd give this one a 7.
Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers. A lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow, and help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.